All right, before we have a look at what's inside this Kittyhawk Voodoo box, just want to say that this episode of In the Box has been brought to you by Lost Aviator Coffee Company. They do some really nice coffees, and funny enough, we have their dark roast blend, which is the Voodoo blend, what they call, and it's the anniversary of the 100th anniversary of the RCAF. So they branded it in this this wonderful bag. Lost Aviator is a small company. A couple of guys run it. If you go to their website and use Fuzzy's Ghost Models as a discount code, you'll get 10% off your first order online. And you know I like my coffee, so I got a nice mug of Joe right here, and oh boy is it good. Let me have a sip. Oh, fantastic. Fantastic. Anyway, celebrate the 100th anniversary of the RCAF and this wonderful Voodoo coffee, which is their dark roast. We're going to have a look at this kit. Now let's get to it. All right, here we are. Now, this is the original boxing. I don't know what the Zimi kit's going to look like. It says here it's got information provided by Detail and Scale. Now I have built this one, and we'll have a look at my build up, and I'll go over some of the issues I had with it. So this might be a little longer video than normal. I try and keep the in the box ones to around 10 minutes, but this one might be a little longer because we're going to dive into this one and some other stuff. So anyway, we look at the box. It's got some interesting artwork. Got some good stuff. It has these markings here. RCAF Nighthawks, and there are some problems with the markings on these things, and then the other side it's got another set of markings. So let's look in the box and see what it has in store for us. All right, lots of plastic. The box is nice and full, which is good. And what we'll do is we'll go one by one. The one on the top is the fuselage and tail section, so we'll have a look. All right, so one thing with these kits, these Voodoo kits from Kittyhawk, now Zimi, at first glance the detail looks really good, and some of the detail is really good. You can see it's not too bad. Looks pretty decent. It's nice that the top of the fuselage is molded in one piece like this, and the tail, you can see nice rivet detail. All right, it's got some rivet detail inside the air brake, but and then you can see the air brakes inside here, right here. They look pretty good from this direction. But then when we look over on this side, you can see there's mold distortion on there because the part is so thick. So not great. You'd have to sand these to make them smooth to get rid of some of that. All right. And then the second sprue has a radar nose, or not a radar, a reconnaissance nose on it. This part here. Then there's the electronics bays that go in the nose, and you can see the inside electronics bays have great big honkin' ejector pin marks, which is no bueno, and also nice ejector pin marks in the rear part of the fuselage, or the cockpit wall. And this part here is also part of the cockpit wall, and actually this is supposed to be clear. This is a clear on the actual aircraft, so not so good. And these are the slime lights that are on the nose. You can see how absolutely honking huge they are. I guess crazy. There's the infrared sensor for the nose for that variant. And yeah, so that's the second sprue. And let's look at this sprue here. I have sped things up and taken them out of the bag already to make things faster. So these are the lower wings. They don't look too bad. There's not too much way of distortion from the molds, which is good. Some things I find, like these doors are a little on the heavy side, but they're okay. And then there's the flaps, which don't look too bad at all. And then the inside of the gear bay, nose gear bay. Again, there's some nice ejector pin marks to clean up. Both spots here, which is yay. My original model, there's two halves of an ejector seat. My original model, the one I built, had these were short shot on the top, so they were missing a bunch of detail, which is no good. But this one seems okay. Let's have a look at the next sprue. Next sprue is the upper wings with the horizontal stabilizers. They're one piece, which is okay because there's no distortion on them, so that's fine. The tabs are a little, like you can see this tab here, and it looks almost short shot as well compared to the other side. So I remember building this and there's not a lot of mating surface to this, so something to watch for. Yeah, have a look inside. You can see some of the detail here. There are, again, ejector pin marks. You'll have to make sure these are cleaned up. There's no raised spots on here, otherwise you might have some fit issues. Yeah, not too bad though. It's certainly buildable. I did build it. So, and then there's this sprue here, another bigger sprue. Got the fuselage front, and this is pretty typical of the Kittyhawk. Design philosophy is multiple portions of fuselage in multiple portions, which is, yeah, can present some issues, so you have to be careful with that. And there's the rotary weapons bay with the great big honkin' ejector pin marks again. I remember having to clean those off. And there's the rotary pallet for the weapons. And the cans for the engines and the rings inside. The wheels too. Wheels on this are pretty average, if not slightly below average, but what are you gonna do? And then gear doors again, great big honkin' ejector pin marks. Cockpit tub. So there's the cockpit tub. The part that's supposed to be clear is here on this part that I showed you earlier, and the wall that sits back between the front and rear is the one with the big ejector pin marks that will have to be cleaned up. Yeah, and some of the attachment points on some of these things are a little on the heavy side, but yeah. And then the little antenna greeblies. There's the nose pitot. Highly recommend you go replace it with a master barrels one, because yeah, to get this off is going to be absolute nightmare, and to keep it straight, good luck with that. All right, so the last sprue of mold gray parts is this one here. It's got the fuel tanks, the missiles, the Falcon missiles, and the genies, and then some of the other, there's the intakes there. And again, the intakes, yeah, I mean, you're not going to see a lot, but the intakes for the engines, great big ejector pin marks. Same with these, the engine cans, great big ass, like unbelievably poor mold quality, as the plastic is a little on the soft side as well, but that's it. The main gear actually looks pretty good. It's kind of sad that the hub is molded onto the gear. That would have been nice to be separate, but then that's that. So that's it for those parts. The clear parts, We have the little clear bag here. Pretty standard. The molding looks really good. It's very clear, and there's not much distortion, and so that's a good thing. They did a good job on the clear parts. It does come with a small sprue of photo-etch, which is this here. Now, one thing which blows my mind is, and this is pretty common for a lot of the Kittyhawk kits, is they have these panels here for the cockpit in photo-etch, which it makes no sense to me. Like there is no option to have a plastic molded. There's no plastic alternative to that in this kit, so you have to use these, and then it comes with these Kittyhawk, wonderful Kittyhawk decals for the instrument panel. And I mean, the main instrument panel, let's see if I can get that focus. Come on, there we go. The main instrument panel and this one actually look pretty good. They're not too bad, and this is what I used for my Voodoo, was these. And once on, it actually fits pretty good, and it looks pretty good. The side panels are kind of very meh, very meh. But yeah, so that's, if we look at this a little closer, so these rings here are for around the afterburner cans on the engines. They fit rather poorly. I don't know what to tell you. There is no, as far as I know, there's no resin replacement for Voodoo engines. Res Kit, if you're listening, really love to have that, because even the Monogram kit could use updated engines for this thing, for this aircraft. So then it's got the seat belts in photo-etch, which kind of look kind of funky, and then you see all of these little things here. These are not mirrors. These go behind the splitter plates for the engine intakes, which they don't fit very well, and an extreme pain in the rump to do. There's mirrors for the canopy, and that's about it for the photo-etch. And then the only thing left besides the instructions is this decal sheet, the main decal sheet, which I'll show you, and I'll give you my opinion on them. This is just my opinion. Best thing to do with this sheet is burn it. Throw it out, get rid of it. The colors are all wrong, and yeah, colors are wrong here. The markings for this, yeah, don't use these. If you have an option, there's a whole bunch of aftermarket companies that make a replacement set for the Voodoo, the 101B, and yeah, go with those, because Kittyhawk decals are probably the worst I've ever had to work with. I didn't use it on my Voodoo, which I'm going to show you in a few minutes, and I did try once with their MiG-25, which is another kit that's, they should just take the molds and throw them off a cliff, as well as the decals, because the carrier film didn't match up what was printed. So anyway, we'll have a quick look through the instructions, and you can see it's all pretty standard stuff, but you're going to spend a lot of time cleaning up ejector pin marks on a lot of this stuff. Right here is where you've bend that photo-etch for the afterburner can, and then just continue on. I'm just going to quick go through this because there's not much point. It's kind of a waste of time. All right, we're looking through. This part here has the big ejector pin marks on the inside as well that need to be cleaned up. And there's the nose electronics bays. Both sides open up. I did not do mine like that. These aren't detailed enough for me to have them open and displayed. And there's the weapons pallets. You can do Genies, or you can do the, I think they're Falcons. There's two different types. Aim 4s, I believe. So up here, so this part right here, this is supposed to be clear. This is A23. Should have been they should have molded it in clear, because it's on the actual aircraft, it's Lexan. So there's availability for the, I'm not sure if you call them a Rio, or what do you call them in the back seat, to see forward and communicate with the pilot. So there's also options for this aircraft for the F-101B with the sensor suite on the front with the photographic nose, or the you can do with or without the IR sensor on the front. And we'll get to the colors in a minute. So we just keep going along. Right. And all right, so here's the first set of markings. And actually, this paper is better than the last set of instructions I had. Yeah, so I take anything that they say from Kittyhawk with a grain of salt. Again, use aftermarket for this. You're not going to want to use the decals from this kit. They're not good. The only thing I used from this kit was the instrument panel decals, because I wanted to see what they looked like and how it looked. And they actually kind of look okay, but in this day and age, you want something a little better. All right, so there's another US marked one. And I mean, they're great, attractive markings, but the decals are no good. So then there's this one here, which this is supposed to be gray. However, these markings are, from what I look in my reference, this should be one of the first ones without the IR sensor from the Canadian Air Force, and it should be bare metal. Once they got sent back to the States to be upgraded, then they came back in the Boeing gray, which is kind of a hard color to find to match. So, and then that's when they got the IR sensor. So these markings are, in my opinion, from what I can tell, these are erroneous. And then there's this silver one here from this bare metal one from the States, from the US, AF, and then a Vietnam, Southeast Asia version with the reconnaissance nose. All right, so let's have a look at that. All right, I'm gonna actually, before we go anywhere, I'm gonna go grab my completed one, and we'll have a look at it. Hang on just a sec. All right, here I am back again with my built-up Kittyhawk CF-101B. So, as you can see, I have replaced the markings. These are leading edge decals, which are very, very nice. And yeah, don't use the Kittyhawk markings. You can see it looks pretty good. Now, compared to one weird thing is the vents. Now, you can see the vents on both sides here, the venting on the fuselage. Now, this is a mistake, and this is a mistake that Monogram made when they first tooled their kit back in, I think it was 91. 91 was the first time they did a Voodoo, and what they did, they matched them symmetrically. And this here, I had to fill in. I filled this, I'm going to zoom in. So, on the Kittyhawk kit, these vents here are mirrored on this side, and they shouldn't be. So what Leading Edge does is they get you to fill this in, and they give you, that's a decal. So kind of a nice, quick and easy way to fix that, right? And I had so many struggles with this kit, but very few kits are unbuildable. This one is just a struggle. There's a lot of struggles, and the biggest thing is getting rid of the damn ejector pin marks. So I'm going to zoom in on the cockpit, and you can see what it looks like. So there's the belts, the photo-etch belts, and you can see how some of these parts, some of this seat is missing compared to the rear because this was short shot. That was the only issue with the short shot that I had with this kit. And one of the only other things I did, let's see if I can get this, is I scratch built this and made it clear Lexan. So the was what it's supposed to be, which it is not in the kit. Yeah. It turned out okay. Lots of challenges, but I have a nice Voodoo now in my collection. Yeah, it would really be nice. The engines are sort of out of round when they get to the fuselage, which was a struggle to get them to fit properly. And yeah, there's a lot wrong with this kit. There's a lot right with the kit too. There's some really fantastic surface detail, and it is all engraved, unlike the Monogram kit. And then this pitot tube, yeah, it was fun. That I should have replaced with a Master Barrels, I think, makes one. There are aftermarket pitot tubes for it. But anyway, that is my Voodoo from Kittyhawk that I have built, and I will build another one. I do want to build one in the bare metal configuration. And as a little bonus, some of you might think it's a bonus, I don't know, some of you might not. Let's have a quick look. Surprise. I know, everyone's shocked. Oh, you have more than one kit. I picked this one up. This was the old Century series. You can find these at shows for pretty cheap usually. Yeah, so we can have a look. And you can see the fuselage is molded differently, of course, than the Kittyhawk one. This is all raised panel lines, but you can still work with it. Still got some really nice detail. So there's those vents I was talking about. They're mirrored on both sides. They shouldn't be. The starboard side does not have this and has a different configuration for the vents. There's the weapons pallet. Nose section has the infrared built into it, pitot tubes attached, and yeah, some of the weapons. These are great kits. These Monogram, they're still, you can find any of the Century series at shows or whatever for a decent price. Like, I recommend building them up. And you can see it's all raised detail. Looks pretty good though. The wheels are the right thickness. The Kittyhawk ones are way too thin. You can see there's the air brakes, and they suffer from a little bit of the same thing with the distortion showing through because it's so thick. But also got ejector pin marks in the doors here and on the dive, or on the flaps. Those are flaps. Then we have, so this one comes, this Monogram molded it in the one fuselage section with the lower wings all attached. This is the front gear bay doors, which is pretty nice. A few little ejector pin marks to clean up. Intakes are the same, but they're the ejector pin marks there are small and tiny and will come off with a nice, just a couple of swipes. And then there's the seats, which look pretty good. Belts are molded on, but this is 30 years old now, over 30 years old. So there's plenty of excuse for. So there's this one when I bought it at a show was just sitting, there was no bag inside, so it's got little scuff marks on it, but those are easy to clean up. There is that middle part. Is that the middle part that goes between, yeah, the two, the Pilot and the Rio? See? Is that right? I don't know. I'll have to look. And here's the old Decals. And again, I wouldn't use these. These started yellow, and these were printed in 2001, and I don't trust them. Again, it's a good set of markings, like attractive, but not for me. This version also came with the little Monogram Century Series patch, which I don't know what to do with. There's the cockpit tub, sorry, which has 1,000% more detail because the side panels are molded with instruments on them. Right? Good paint job, make that look really good. Sorry, some of the parts have fallen off. There's the rear seat IP, which, you know, for its day, not too bad. And let's see if I can find, there is the front instrument panel. Lots of flash to clean up. It's an old kit, old mold technology, right? But I'm sure I picked this up for maybe 15 bucks. It wasn't a lot of money. These kits they made so many of them. They came out in different markings, the Monogram ones. There's even a Cougar Squadron white one with the red Cougar head on it that they Monogram marketed, which kind of blew my mind considering that it's Canadian and I don't know how well it would sell. But anyway, so that's it for this edition of In the Box. I'd just like to give a shout out to Lost Aviator Coffee Company, who has sponsored this episode. Great guys down there. Have a look at their website. I'll leave links in the description to the website. And don't forget, Fuzzy Ghost Models will get you 10% off your first online order. And if you want a Fuzzy Ghost Models t-shirt, they'll be linked down there for that. I love my coffee, so pairing up with these guys is a really good thing. Oh, and by the way, on the other side, coffee is my co-pilot. Sure is, every day. Going to work, coming home from work. Anyway, enough jibber jabber. We're done. Thanks for tuning into this extra long one. We had some extra stuff to look at. And take a look at these guys. Good stuff. Anyway, ciao for now. Bye.